let us continue to talk about the structure of contractile proteins. So the muscle fibers are composed of 20% protein, 75% water, and remaining 5% component of the muscle fibers is made up of inorganic and organic matter. And yes, like we have already discussed, the muscle fibers are very important for us. The muscle proteins are myosin, actin, tropomyosin and troponin. So here on the diagram given here, you can clearly understand the proteins which are the structural components of muscle fiber. We can have a look at the tropomyosin, the troponin, actin and definitely the myosin proteins. So the thick filaments are made up of myosin molecule clearly. So here we can observe myosin, here we can observe the myosin filament, and the thick filaments are made up of myosin, needless to say. Each myosin molecule contain two identical heads with pairs of helical strands which form the tail. So here we can understand an individual thick filament, that is myosin, and you can clearly understand that there are globular heads, two heads, from which extending helical structures form up the tail. That's how the helical structure is arranged. There are heavy chains and light chains for sure, and that is how the structure of myosin fiber is made up of. Each myosin molecule will contain two identical heads which are exactly replicas of each other and no different. And there will be pairs of helical strands arising from each of the head which will form up the helical tail of the myosin. The upper surface of each globular head of myosin contain actin binding site and ATP binding site. So the upper surface of each globular head, head number 1, head number 2, the upper surface of the two heads will have two sites, namely the actin binding site and the ATP binding site individually. Let us continue to understand how significant the structural parts are and how it helps in the muscular contraction mechanism. So let's now go to actin. We already know about myosin, that it's having a structural form such as made up of two globular heads from which pairs of helical strands arise which make up the tail. At the upper surface of the globular head we have the actin binding site and also the ATP binding site. Let's now get into the structure of contractile protein actin, which is the main constituent of thin filament. So here we can have a look at actin contractile protein.